Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
This episode is brought to you by Love Hurts. Kiwi Kwan has had quite a career, from childhood roles in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and The Goonies to a recent Academy Award win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But now Ki finally stars as a leading man in the film Love Hurts. Love Hurts is the perfect date night movie with its mix of over-the-top action, comedy, and a ton of heart. Love Hurts, only at theaters February 7th.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take on our voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website, so I don't know about you, but you better go ahead and create that account and shoot to one of these basketball games or concerts or something because, hey, it works for all of the above on SeatGeek, so definitely go check that out. Anyway, look, man, I'm here to talk to you about this Super Bowl here because Super Bowl 59, we got our champions. We got the Super Bowl MVP. The Philadelphia Eagles are the champions of Super Bowl 59. Congrats to them. A lot of people had similar views on it. I didn't really get to give a prediction on who I wanted to win, but I really didn't want either team to win. I wanted my Atlanta Falcons to win, but that just was not going to be the case. But yeah, shout out to the Eagles, man. They absolutely destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs to win their second Super Bowl. They won 40-22. And you know what, bro? I was content with the Eagles winning. I was content with the Chiefs winning. I had already made peace with whoever was going to be the winner of this Super Bowl. But the one thing I did not want to happen was a damn blowout. The Kansas City Chiefs allowed an Eagles team to put up 40 points. Are you kidding me? A blowout. They held you scoreless in the first half. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And this was a terrible Super Bowl to watch, honestly. Like, I had no interest in looking at this game after halftime because it was already bad. And then as soon as halftime came, what Patrick Mahomes do? Another turnover, Eagles get it and score. Like, it was just bad. It was awful. I will say thank you to the Eagles for playing good football. At least thank you for giving us something that was entertaining because you very much could have went out there and laid an egg just like the Kansas City Chiefs, and this could have been a boring, sloppy game. But at least y'all ran with it, and y'all put up 40 points. So shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for even bringing some sort of entertainment to this game, taking the belt off and just putting it straight across their behind because this is insane for the Kansas City Chiefs to allow a team to put up 40 in the Super Bowl, and it was not close. It's unbelievable. And for Patrick Mahomes, for the Chiefs, for Travis Kelce, should be a damn shame to themselves. The whole Chiefs organization should be ashamed. Chiefs Kingdom should be ashamed. All of y'all should be ashamed. Anybody who was talking about all the refs always cheating, man, look, and it doesn't matter, whatever, you should be ashamed. Anybody, man, yeah, Chiefs that was just awful, bro. That was awful. That was such a disappointing game. It was probably one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever witnessed. I know there's been some bad Super Bowls, some defensive Super Bowls, but this wasn't even a defensive Super Bowl. This was just straight beatdown. Like, And the Chiefs didn't even try to fight back. Every time they tried to fight back, they gave the ball away to Philly again, whether it was a fumble, whether it was an interception, whatever the case is. Like, it was bad to watch. And, man, I was just thankful the game I'm thankful it's over. This was an awful way to send off the NFL season and kick up the off season. Like, this is terrible. And some of the standout stats, too, for just, to highlight maybe how bad it was. I don't know if it'll really get my point across, but the Eagles sacked the Chiefs 6 times, but not once did the Eagles bring a blitz. Not once. That's an elite defense over there. Again, shout out to Philly. They earned it. They played good ball. They brought some entertainment on both ends of the ball. They scored. They played defense. They forced turnovers. They did their thing. 6 sacks, no blitz. Like, are you kidding me? Crazy. Forced Pat Mahomes to throw 2 interceptions. Had one of them was a pick 6. Cooper DeJean. Crazy. 3 total turnovers for the Chiefs. 2 interceptions from Pat Mahomes. 1 fumble. It was bad, bro. This was a week 4 type of performance from the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't even know if they knew they were in the Super Bowl at this point, because I couldn't believe my eyes. I could not believe my eyes. The Chiefs were held scoreless the entire first half. And then they hadn't even gotten the ball past the 50-yard line the entire first half. Now, I know a lot of people going to hear that and think, oh, man, the Eagles defense was so dominant. But also, bro, the Chiefs offense was so piss poor, because that also played a big part in it, bro. Patrick Mahomes looked like Caleb Williams out there in the beginning of the season. Patrick Mahomes looked like Kirk Cousins. Patrick Mahomes looked like, give me some more people. I need some more people, just bad quarterbacks out there. Will Levi, he looked like, man, he was bad out there. Pat Mahomes was stutter stepping, happy feet in the pocket. It was bad. And I know a lot to do with it has something to do with the offensive line. The offensive line was missing blocks, and they couldn't really, stop the Eagles' pass rush. But damn, bro, you can't stop them even when they're not sending the blitz? Like, really, bro? That's what we doing here? So it's wild, man. I couldn't believe this performance. Really couldn't believe this performance. Shout out to the Eagles, because the Eagles, they actually balled out. They did their thing. And as I mentioned, Jalen Hurts, he did win the MVP for the Super Bowl. And it was deserved. I think it was very much deserved. Anyone who's watched Jalen Hurts all playoffs and all season long, you've seen how much he evolved his game from the past few years that we've watched him. He limited his turnovers like crazy. His control on the game is tremendously improved. I mean, his throws accurate, even more accurate than what they were, but now he's just more decisive and more protective over the ball, and that's something you definitely got to respect. And I would say, man, he's becoming a great field general, and man, it's helping him. It's helping him. Obviously, the biggest part is getting wins, and that's what he's doing. Just won a Super Bowl. But, all of that good stuff about Jalen Hurts becoming a great field general, understanding defenses, protecting the ball, and putting it where it needs to be when it comes to passing, that stuff is cool, but I still think that top 5 conversation is still kind of a push if you're trying to throw Jalen Hurts in that top 5 quarterback. Based on this previous season, it's still not really obvious to me that Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. And I know a lot of y'all are going to say, oh, well, you just hating on Jalen Hurts. You must not like him. No, that's not the case at all, bro. It's just, if I list 5 quarterbacks, if I think of 5 quarterbacks, I can think of 5 other guys that do things better than Jalen Hurts. I say Hurts still isn't in the top 5 conversation of quarterbacks because he doesn't do things that's much better than the other 5 guys. When I'm talking about Burrow, when I'm talking about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, even Jaden Daniels from last season, and Jared Goff, like, those guys still do an abundance of things much better than what Jalen Hurts does. And Jalen Hurts is great. Again, not to knock on him. I mean, I told you, he's great at passing. He shut all of those narratives down in terms of, oh, he can't pass, and try and make him pass. He's shown you that, oh, that's not a problem at all. He can still throw all over any defense. But in terms of things he can do better than other quarterbacks in the NFL, he's still not top 5 just yet. He's a great guy. He's a great quarterback, all of that stuff. And I love, one thing I love about Jalen Hurts is his ability to win and ability to lead a team. And this does set him apart. But when we talk about straight skill as a quarterback, and he does this, and this better than that guy, nah, it ain't gonna be too many of those highlights that you saying he does this, and this better than. Like, nah, it's not happening. But I will now say, I'll say this. I'll accept any debate about Jalen Hurts being a top 5 quarterback. Based on previous seasons, again, because he had a high turnover ratio, I was like, no, it's not even a debate, not going there at all in terms of him being a top 5 quarterback. At this point, I will accept any debate, but don't let all this Super Bowl hype fool you. He played great. I mean, he protected the ball. He commanded his team. He put the ball where it needed to be. He threw all over teams in the playoffs. Hey, he did his thing. I have nothing bad to say about him, but in terms of other 5 guys that has better skill, I will accept the debate for now on in terms of him being a top 5 quarterback. But other than that, no, I still don't think he is. Nah, not yet. Anyway, look, so halftime was also a big conversation. That was crazy. Kendrick Lamar, obviously, as you know, performed at halftime. And I mean, let's rate the halftime performance 1 through 10. So if I had to rate Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance 1 through 10, I would honestly say, man, let's give it like a 4.5, 5. And the only reason I say give it a 4.5, 5 is because personally, I thought it started off a bit slower. Obviously, it picked up and it got hype. And some people are gonna say, oh, you just didn't understand the context. You didn't understand the meaning of it. But bro, come on, man. We ain't trying to think deep at the Super Bowl. I understood a lot of the hidden messages and stuff. I've been following the rap beef. I've been following Kendrick for years and years. So I already had an idea of what he would bring to the table. But in terms of Super Bowl performance, I gotta just give it like a 4.5, 5, bro. I personally expected him to, kind of come out there with some of the old hits that he had. I expected a little more energy in terms of music and the songs that he would perform, because he has a lot of hits. But if I didn't know any better and I seen that performance and that was the only thing I knew about Kendrick Lamar, I would think he was just another rapper that got a shot because he had a big song. Like, I wouldn't think that, oh, he's been killing the game for decades and he had this hit, he had that hit, and he's one of the best rappers out here. Like, I wouldn't think that based on that Super Bowl performance. So because of that reason, I have to say it wasn't really the best performance, man. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'm a big Kendrick fan, so I don't want nobody to be thinking, oh, Drake fans is off the chain, Drake fans is losing their mind. No, it's evident at this point that Kendrick was clearly the winner of this battle. Like, anybody who out here saying, oh, well, Drake did. No, bro, he lost. That's the only thing he did in terms of the name Kendrick Lamar. Don't even mention it in the same sentence at this point, because no, it's evident. It's clear that Kendrick, game is over, bruh. Game is over. So yeah, I'm by no means trying to support Drake by saying, oh, Kendrick didn't have a great Super Bowl performance, but I just thought he could have did better. Like, when I think of the Grammy performances that Kendrick put on years back, I thought those were tremendous. And I guess for me personally, I expected something along the lines of the hype music and the energy from those performances. Obviously, it's a different type of music that he dropped out now, but he definitely had a lot of hits on that GNX album that he could have just started off with and get the energy rolling early. But that's really the main reason why I'm like, I can't really stand behind the performance of, it being like a classic, iconic performance at the Super Bowl. I think it was more of a statement performance, which is cool too. Like, I mean, anybody out there who's saying, oh, it was statement type of performance. Yeah, I understand the messages again, but that's just not really, the vibe in the Super Bowl when, it's a Super Bowl. So I just, that part was rough. But my personal rating, I wouldn't go above 5 if I had to rate this performance with Kendrick Lamar at halftime. I mean, hey, I'm a big Kendrick fan, bro. I love so many of his different albums that he's created and different songs, bro. Especially early days Kendrick, bro. Like before the Good Kid, Mad City is what I'm saying. Like, so I was expecting something a little different than what he put on in the Super Bowl. And that's all right. And it happens. He's still a GOAT either way it go. So it still don't matter. You're still a GOAT. Other than that, look, so It's just an instant reaction, so I'm not gonna do full of everything, but I do want to let you know we got some voicemail callers, and if you listened to the show earlier last week, I was out of town, so I didn't get to give Super Bowl predictions and stuff like that. But some of these I haven't even listened to them, which is kind of the way I wanted it. I haven't listened to them, but We're just gonna put out, we're gonna play the voicemails. I'll give you context on it and stuff, but it's from last week's episode and just all the things that was happening at the trade deadline and all of that stuff. So real quick, we'll go ahead and play some of the voicemails back. Again, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. Especially if, you want to get off your Super Bowl takes, you want to let me know what you would rate Kendrick Lamar's performance and what you thought of the Super Bowl. Because I personally thought the Super Bowl was awful. That game was terrible. It was a terrible game. That was a week 4 type of game. NFL could have kept that. I would have rather seen the Bills, the Lions, anybody else. Anyway, look, so let's jump into the voicemail calls. Again, 219-413-9405 if you want to leave a quick take. And then here's the first one. Let's do it.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
This is Kai. I feel like if the Nuggets get Jimmy Butler, I feel like, we have a chance. I say get rid of Aaron Gordon and probably P. Watt. But Jimmy.
All right, so as you know, look, Jimmy Butler recently got traded. So I'm guessing this was right before he got traded, and it was official that he was going to the Golden State Warriors. But first, appreciate you for calling, bro. And, I'm glad he didn't go to the Lakers. And honestly, bro, with Jimmy Butler even going to the Golden State Warriors, is this really going to help the Warriors? Yeah, I know they won their first game against the Chicago Bulls. Really, y'all going to be excited about that? Seriously? But, however, with Jimmy Butler on the Warriors, bro, I just don't think it's a recipe for a championship. I don't think it's a recipe for a playoff run. If anything, they'll actually get in playoff contention and they'll possibly have a play-in game. But I don't see that being a good recipe for a championship or anything like that with Jimmy Butler going there, because it's still just not enough pieces around that Warriors locker room to really help them evolve past the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hell, even the Houston Rockets or somebody right now, because, man, first off, it's the dynamic in that locker room is already insane. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, oh man, hell no. And then you gave up Wiggs. Like, I'm not a fan of that Warriors move, getting rid of Jimmy Butler. To me, it was odd, and it was a move out of desperation for the Warriors because they just trying so hard to get back to relevancy of winning games, but don't seem like that's actually going to be the case anytime soon for the Golden State Warriors, even though they did get Jimmy Butler. But, of course, appreciate you for calling. We got another voicemail. Let's go ahead and play it and see what they're talking about. Let's do it.
My name's Uriah.
It's good.
My quick take real quick is I think that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest Milwaukee Buck to ever play the game of basketball. And he's also the greatest NBA player of all time. Because he didn't have help. Because Magic Johnson was too busy getting his Johnson magic. Never mind.
Hey, yo. Hey, you gotta chill, bro. Hey, yo. Come on, man. You gotta chill, dog. Well, whoa. Why you have to go there, bro? Why? I get you on, like you could have just left it at the Bucks and Kareem being the greatest, bro. But come on, bro. Why you had to go there with Magic, dog? You crazy for that? You know, you wild. You a wild boy. For that one. Anyway, to comment on the Bucks. Okay, first, yeah, let's go back. Let's go back to what you just said, because Kareem, greatest Buck of all time. I'll take it. I'll accept it. I won't even debate you on Kareem being the greatest buck of all time. However, you know, you started to push the limits just a little bit when you started saying greatest player of all time. Now, I know this is Kareem. This is, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor, all that. I get it. I've never got a chance to watch Kareem. I know he has some unstoppable moves, but I also know that he was playing with a lot of unathletic white men at that time. And I'm just saying, you know, the game did eventually evolve, but if it wasn't for Magic Johnson, it's a good chance that Kareem would have never ever seen them last few championships, because Magic did come in and save the day. Kareem was on his last back few legs, moving like an old head. And if you go look at some of the highlights and stuff and just some of the clips from him at that time, bro, you can see it. He wasn't moving like no young man at that time. Everybody knows what a 24, 28-year-old man moves like. And that is not a 28, 29, 34. Like, he was moving like a 50-year-old. Let's keep it a buck, man. So I'm going to just say that. I was with you when you said he's the greatest Milwaukee Buck of all time, but greatest player of all time. I cannot give that to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The game has evolved way past what he was doing at the time, and that's just what the reality of the situation is. The game is going to continue to evolve, and right now, anybody who's arguing about the greatest of all time and they not saying that man LeBron James, then hey, bro, it's no point of even having a conversation, honestly, because I'm a big Kobe fan, and it took me years and years and years and years and years and years and years to even have the conversation that maybe LeBron was a little bit better all time than Kobe, but I've accepted the fate, and I think you need to do the same when you talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being the greatest of all time, because it's still, before I even get to LeBron, I would even go Mike and Kobe. Like, I would still go put people above him, but I understand it. I understand the greatness, and above all, bro, you didn't have to wild out by saying Johnson was getting his Johnson played with like that. You crazy as hell for that. Crazy as hell. Anyway. Appreciate you for calling, though, Uriah, bro. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for leaving the take. All right, we got one more, man. This is the last one. Then we go wrap up. But here's what he had to say. Let's do it.
What's going on, Manny? This is Jared calling in.
Jared, was good?
So I truly do believe this is a win-win trade if I've ever seen one. The Mavericks receive an all-NBA power forward who's finally going to be able to play his natural position. The Lakers receive an all-world player who'll be getting a fresh start at the price of some adversity. I'm excited for both players because it gives all parties involved a new look and trajectory at the expense of a few headlines and hurt feelings. But I truly do believe this is a good trade for the National Basketball Association. Thanks for having me on, man.
Of course, bro, and I'm gonna bring you back on. So first, let me give you a little context, and I'm gonna explain, and I'll talk to Jared a little bit more through the pod. But first things first. So he was commenting on the Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic trade. I think I got a chance to talk about that in the last episode. That might have been the last one that I was able to record, but honestly, bro, that trade just threw the entire schedule off of what I had planned that week in my absence. But man, it was crazy. So. I agree with you, though, Jared. That's a fair trade between both teams. I think the Mavs getting Anthony Davis is solid for them. They get an all-time big guy that plays both sides of the ball. And Luka Doncic, even though there's some rumors about him struggling with his weight, still gets a lot of benefit from going to the Lakers. I mean, they get to build a new team around Luka Doncic, and he's there with LeBron. Maybe can pick up some stuff about how to maintain his weight and be all right. But ultimately, you know, I think this trade was blown out of proportion just a little bit in terms of who won and who didn't win the trade, because in reality, it does benefit both teams and what they are aiming to do in terms of the next few years of their franchise. The Mavs, they still got a good shot at going to the finals this year. As long as AD is healthy. We just seen he got injured off a non-contact injury. Of course, that's a classic AD. And then Luka Doncic hasn't really started with his Lakers run just yet. Maybe he'll play tomorrow. But other than that, I mean, I think both teams do benefit, and we just won't really know how it works out until time plays his part. Because who's to say Luka doesn't get fat, as the Mavericks are predicting? Who's to say Anthony Davis doesn't go on to win the Mavs 2 championships? Who's to say Luka Doncic doesn't go on to win the Lakers 2 championships, and AD never plays again because he's always hurt? So it's like only time is going to be able to tell for these answers to questions, or these questions, answer these questions that we don't have answers to. So yeah, man, we'll see. But no, above all, I think you're absolutely right. Definitely a fair trade on all sides. And there was a bit of an overreaction in terms of what the Mavs lost, but I understand it, because losing your star player and just, man, having your star player traded when he's played his heart and soul for your team, got him to a conference finals, and also lost them a championship. I get it. Because I would be torn if the Pistons traded Cade Cunningham. I don't care who it was for. I would be torn, because that's a homegrown guy, you know? So I get it for the Dallas Mavericks, man, but hey, that trade is up. So y'all got to figure it out from there. Anyway, again, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. If you heard something throughout the show that you want to comment on, definitely want to hear y'all Super Bowl thoughts. Whether it's the halftime show, the game, what you thought about Pat Mahomes, is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback? I got to hear about all of this stuff, because it's a lot of stuff to answer. And you'll probably get a lot of content this week. I say that now, but I also just got back from vacation. So we'll see. But also too, yeah, Boston was dope, man. I got a lot of respect for Boston. It's dope. Not better than Chicago, but I loved it there. It was amazing. Did a Fenway tour. You're going to have to just check the IG, because I'll post more stuff on there. But give me a sec, bro, because I'm terrible at posting, but it's going to be up there in a sec. So check out the IG at The Run Podcast. You can check out the personal as well at I am Manny Wilson. And then a positive note, I do got to leave y'all on a positive note as always. And I'll just say, learn from the mistakes that you make. Learn from mistakes. For example, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they played the Chiefs a couple years ago and they lost. They got beat. Jalen Hurts, he played the Chiefs again and he prevailed. He won. He learned from the mistakes of everything that happened in the previous game against the Chiefs a couple years ago, and now he ultimately ended up being victorious. So I'm going to just say, learn from your mistakes as you go. Don't be too hard on yourself when you do make mistakes. I mean, we all make mistakes. Ain't nobody perfect, but just make sure you sit back, evaluate, and think about how you can get better next time you come across that similar situation. So learn from your mistakes. Accept that however you want to accept it. And other than that, man, yeah, we'll be back this week, all throughout the week, most likely, especially if more stuff continue to go down in the NFL as I'm predicting. But yeah, definitely excited about that. Anyway, share this with a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, coworker, friend, family member, a cousin, anyone you know. I promise you they are not going to mind. And yeah, man, that's all we got. But we'll be back later on this week, and so on and so on and so on.